What's up, everybody? Doing a trade review here for the. It's quite late, but wanted to do it before I go to bed. It is Friday, May 7th, and I started the day off actually with a losing trade here in pre-market. Two losing pre-market trades actually. In the first one, I was kind of kicking myself over because I usually trade a very specific way in the pre-market, whereas if once I add my position, if it doesn't immediately start going in my favor, um, then I usually will, I just close out. So at this point, price came down to fill. Oh, I'm sorry. I called the zone at 750. So it was right up here because I remember the very next candle it said and came down to fill me. I said 5.75 down to 5.7. I was risking 555 here. And as soon as, again, just like I said yesterday, in the pre-market, what I do is when I do my bid ladder, my descending bids, I will do very light and then almost all of the shares at the very bottom of the zone. Because that way, if it does just pop out of the zone, I'm in the money if I want to sell right away because it's not immediately going the direction I want it to. I can sell for some profit. Now, because I had seen this, I thought, okay, maybe this is a lower low and we're creating a kind of a wedge, and I can ride this for the next 30 minutes safely. And I don't know. That was foolish of me. I should have immediately, after getting filled, and saw it come up here out of my zone. I'm 80 cents in the money, 90 cents in the money, something like that at the time. Um, I'm sorry, 9 cents in the money, $90 or whatever, based on my position size. I could have taken this for a quick little win, not exactly what I was shooting for, which was, going to be first like up here and then up here. But yeah, that's unfortunate. I ended up holding it. It came back down and then immediately fell through my zone. And then the next candle stopped me out. I think I actually no, I just took the stop right here. All right, hit my this pre-market, so I just sold at this level. Now whether or not I got filled a little higher, I'm not sure, but I was unfortunate. Somebody even came and asked me afterwards, or messaged me and said, what did you think about that play? I saw that it went against you, and I'm very like if I say that I'm gonna stop at something, I stop at something. Usually I use hard stops, so it's not even up to me. But even when it's mental stops and I have to do mental stops, I 100% of the time always respect my stop. Because in trading, like, you have to know that you're going to lose, and you're going to lose pretty often. So as long as you always know when the mental decision of is this a loss? Is this a quantifiable loss? I technically would have considered anything below this so that it was creating a lower low as a 100% defined loss on my idea of trend maintenance. It was maintaining a trend, it was just maintaining a downtrend, as you can see. So yeah, my stop is there for a reason. I stopped and I took my L and I moved on. I started the day with a little bit of a loss, not a big deal. You move on to the next one, forget it happened. My next one I'm pretty sure was TLRY, Tilray here. Oh, I didn't call it out in chat, but I did take a loss on this one in the pre-market this morning. Yep, right up. No, that was later. Yep, right down here. So I noticed that price was kind of creating a wedge. I can't remember where it was. It was, let's see, I said it at some point, 805. So at 805, 805. Yeah, did it like this, and then like this. Yeah, that's what I did. Something like that, right? A wedge in kind of that fashion. And I added actually down here at like 15 at the base of the wedge, expecting it to come back up to this trend. Worst case scenario, I make 20 cents on the trend retest and fail. I put my stop really tight, like right below. I think it was at like 15. 15. So I was risking like 5 cents or so. Six. I think I ended up risking 7 cents total. Based on where my average ended up, based on where I got filled. So as you can see over here on this action, it came up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And then when it consolidated here right below VWAP, I added a little bit more to a full position here, and then it fell out of the wedge. And this one I'm a little less cool with, simply because like I don't really play patterns just to play patterns. Not very often, at least. I will generally play patterns if I've already assessed a zone and I want to play a pattern that's taking place while in my zone, then like sure, that'll give me added confidence. Let's say that there's like I call for an add zone, and then we get like a cup and handle or something immediately after, right? Something that will corroborate my idea that where I'm catching this pullback zone is going to have continued upside, stuff like that. Like that's cool, but I hardly ever play just patterns by themselves. There's got to usually be other reasons. So I kind of ran into this, without a real plan. I had a defined stop and profit target and all that stuff, but I didn't have like a true, the way that my system works, plan set up. So that was kind of an unnecessary L, very small one. I think I ended up losing like $40 or something. So, but it still just didn't need to happen, right? I immediately was like, okay, yeah, this is ridiculous. And I realized what I had done, and I stepped away, and I came back 15 minutes after the bell. But I think in the future, I'm just going to, until we start getting like some 100% runners in the pre-market, I think I'm just going to wake up later, sleep in a little bit longer, and just wait to trade after the 10 minutes after the open. Simply because like I've looked at my numbers, I journal everything every night. I put them into into Trader View, which you can use. I use the free version of. I mean, there's other versions, but I definitely highly recommend it for anybody. Trader View, VUE. And you can auto import. So because I use DOS, it auto imports everything, and I can just at the end of the night import it, and it'll plot and chart and keep track of all my details and all my metrics and stuff like that. And the hours of pre-market, it tells you like how you trade, what's your performance like, broken down by day, by hour. So I take a look at the hours that make up the pre-market, and the past 2 weeks I've just been not great. It's been about 50-50, and but my losers are usually bigger than my winners, right? So like 50% of the time I'm winning, but that's usually because I'm a little in the green, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't moving the direction I wanted it to quickly enough, which is usually what I do in pre-market. I'm quick to cut it. If it doesn't immediately work the way I expected it to, I'm quick to cut it in pre-market because it comes against you very quickly. So seeing a 50-50 win rate is not as good as it would be typically, simply for the fact that those winners, were usually me scaling out of small positions because I, was taking what I could get at that point. Anyways, that was it. That was the loss in that one. I guess my point of all this thing is that I'm probably gonna abstain from pre-market, at least for a while. Maybe sleep in a little bit later. Okay, so my next trade was actually on Tilray as well, I think. No, it wasn't. It was on. Okay, RHE. Let's see where we're at. So at 8:45, so it would have been right around here. I called the zone of 1975 down to 1937. 1937. So yeah, as you can see, I did my bid ladder. I ended up getting filled to the cent, 1975 on this candle here, and then it popped in it, and I sold immediately as soon as it broke this level right here. I'm 22. I immediately took profit. I was only in on like 100 shares or something, so it ended up being or no, I was in even less than that. I think my max loss was gonna end up being down here. So yeah, I think I was in even less than that. But regardless, it ended up being a very, very small win. A win nonetheless, but when I'm in such a small size like that, I'm not really interested in if it's already in the profit, especially when it's breaking a previous area of highs, double top even on that too. When it does this, I'm done. I'll take it. I didn't get filled as much as I want, but if I wait for price action, if I think price action is going to come all the way back down to fill my zone in full eventually anyways, and there's no point in me holding on through all of that. I might as well sell and then just re-add if I do truly believe that'll take place. In most cases, if it fills me a little bit, 1, 2 of 4 or 5 orders or what have you, and then it goes, I'll generally consider that like, okay, yep, move on to the next, let's reassess, because in a trend system, if it returns back to where it filled me the last time, then odds are pretty likely that that's not a higher low, not a continuance of trend, things like that. You can see though that the pop and drop is still well and alive. When you see the 10 look like this, that's rally, drop, rally, drop, rally, drop. That's things have not changed this week, so I'm glad that the week is over, and I'm glad that I scraped out with a little bit of green. Not didn't do amazing this week, but was profitable, so that's good at least. Yeah, that was it on RHE for the day. I didn't trade it anymore, so. Ears. I actually think I took a loser on ears as well. I can't remember. Sorry, I really should just pull up my my DOS and look what names I was right on. Yeah, it must have been. So at 909. Right in this range. I said 3.8 down to 3.7. Oh no, this one was a winner. This one was a winner. It's just a really tiny winner. Looking to touch VWAP. Yeah, 914. Solid move so far. Looking to touch VWAP. So, yeah, price on ears did fill me in full. As you can see, my risk level was going to be down here. 5 cents. Real tight. I probably could have realistically made it 10 cents down here and given myself all this wiggle room. But after seeing this continued sell-off and knowing we were in a pop and drop market, I was like, well, seeing this and then this little rally come back up is usually like a bounce, right? You throw something up high and it bounces once, bounces twice, bounces, and that's almost exactly what ended up happening. So I ended up just taking what I could here, and as soon as it came up to VWAP, I was out in full. So I ended up taking the move. I think my cost basis was like 1372 or 372, and I took it for 18 cents or something. So another real small win, simply because I'm still in the process of adapting to the pop and drop market, which you can see pop, drop. That's pop, drop, rally, drop, bounces, drops, bounces, drops. So that's still kind of where we're at, and as opposed to being upset about that or whatever, I'm just adjusting. I'm taking very, very quick I'm moving my bids to the majority, so like real light on the top, and then the bulk at the very bottom to make sure that to ensure that I'm prioritizing like really good averages over like getting tapped in at the top and taking advantage of that. Because like usually, let's say that we're in a good market with a lot of trend, and I put 200 shares at the top. Well, if I get tapped in and it's in a good trend, like I can still make decent money off that 200 shares or whatever, right? And I'm prioritizing taking more plays as opposed to getting a better cost average when I'm doing that, simply because I believe in more moves, so I'd like to be filled on more opportunities. Whereas when we're in this more poor market, let's say that my zone is right here, as opposed to doing 200 up here, 200 here, 200 here, and then 400 here for 1,000 shares, I'll do, 100, 100. Sometimes I'll skip this one and do 800, right? And that ensures that my cost average is usually going to be like real low. It's going to be like a cent or two off the bottom. And when I'm doing that, it's a reaction of I'm prioritizing good cost averages as opposed to taking more opportunities. I hope that that makes sense because it's very important. So that is kind of a way that a very small way that really goes a long way in helping mitigate my risk in these little choppier markets. Because by doing so, having my cost average down here as opposed to up here means that when I do take these really quick little moves here, I'm taking my profit at three. I took it at like 388 just to make sure I would get filled. As soon as I did that, like if I'm in at 378 average because I did my descending bids like I usually do when in markets are in better shape and I want to be tapped in more often, that I'm making 10 cents off of it or what have you. So I hope that that makes sense. I try my best to clarify it, but that matters a lot. How I do my bid ladders and adjusting front loading or back loading the bulk of your bids can really help you mitigate risk, because instead of my stop being 10, from 3.7 down to here, well, my cost average is right in the middle. That means half of my zone is being added to my stop, right? So let's say that I added 3.8 down to 3.7, and then my cost average is right in the middle, 3.75. Well, now it's a 15-cent stop. Whereas if I can get closer and closer to that bottom, it becomes a 10-cent stop. So when you are less sure about market sentiment overall, it's better to ensure solid entries as opposed to more entries. I hope that's an easier way to understand. So that was ears, small win. We'll take it. We'll take it. TLRY, I ended up taking again for a couple of good trades. Okay. Okay, sorry. 9 o'clock. Okay. Just trying to figure it out. Okay, is this the correct date? Yeah. So at 9 a.m., right here, I said I need Tilray to reject high of day and come to 15.7 to 15.6. 15.7, 15.6. What? Is this the correct day? What am I missing? Oh, oh, oh. I don't know. Oh, that was way earlier. Okay. That was sorry. At 9:14, sorry. At 9:14, so up here in this move. I said 16.13 down to 16. And I even made a point to say in chat that 16.4, because you can see that at this point it was a significant level. You can see that earlier in the day, or I mean just a few minutes ago, but earlier in the day still, this was a key level. So, and when price came up here, I wanted to see it break through. My stop is actually down here at 15.8. I'm pretty sure. I think it was 20 cents. Yeah. So yeah, my stop's down here. That gives me VWAP. That gives me the 20. That gives me all of this previous price action that price has to come through to tap me out. And I was shooting for 16.4. And I said in chat that I'm looking for 16.4. I said Tilray, I'm still in full. At break of 16.4, I will add if it holds. Because as you can see, I only got filled on 2 of 4 bids. So I wanted to size up still, but I wanted to do it. I didn't want to just add size as it was going up. You know, you still, when you want to add in intelligent areas where price is giving you a good opportunity to do so. That's not also costing you, you know, really important, or without increasing your risk, I guess is a good way to say it. So I said in chat, at 16.4 break, I will add if it holds. So it immediately came up here, or I mean, immediately after breaking 14, it kind of came back down, and I said, or I'm sorry, 40. As soon as it broke 40, I said, I'm not sure. Let me wait. Let me wait, because again, it's a pop and drop market. It could come right back down. I don't want to double my position size or whatever. It came back up over again, and I ended up adding. I added in full. So I now was up to a full position. My cost average ended up being right somewhere in the middle, like over here. But I was now taking advantage of a full move that looked like it had continued upside. And it did. So as soon as it came to 16.6, I sold half, right? I sold half. And I said in chat, I'm selling half at 16.6, and I'm adding on the pullback. So it pulled back down here, and I added again, which meant that my cost average is now somewhere up here. Excuse me. And I said, okay, at 16.6, I'm going to sell half again, which will take me a full position for 40 cents or whatever, 60 cents. Yeah, something like that, 50 cents, I don't know. I was going for a free play. You hear me talk about that a lot. So yeah, I shot for a free play here, and I sold at 16.6. I sold half at 16.6, added half at the dip. I actually got in at 16.4 because, you know, it was that key support level. So I added half back at 16.4. So I'm back to a full position, and then I sold half again at 16.6. I didn't care if it went over or anything like that. So then I immediately set my stop to break even with, so I had half a position left. I have taken a full position's worth of money from here to here, basically. And now I'm in with a half a position. My stop at break even, there's absolutely zero risk. Now, because I added down here, it was actually a little higher up based on my fill, but I actually ended up, when I set my stop to break even, I ended up getting stopped out of the move in one of these two candles. I think it was this one. I don't know. But yeah, I ended up getting stopped out, and I was like, damn, dude, that's okay. The free play didn't work. We're stopped out. That's fine. Of course, it did end up giving another, almost 20 cents, but, it's okay. There was zero risk on the trade. I had already taken a full positions worth of trade for the majority move here, so I was still very happy with that. And now let me talk a little bit about why I decided that I wanted the free trade. So this first area was the area where I decided, like, yeah, this is going to be impactful. You can see here, 16.4 was the body of this 10-minute candle. It was also right here, these 2-minute candles. You could see almost the neckline of this pattern. So when I saw the wick on the 5-minute, and then in the tweezer bottom essentially here, with the break of the area I had identified as a key area for me, I said, okay, now I have a lot of faith in this move. These two things, this list of information collectively, along with the long wick that's getting bought up on the 10, those are all signs where I was like, yeah, I can go for a free play here. I feel like momentum is in the move. Volume looks good. The sell volume and stuff was solid. Big sell volume, but with even lighter buy volume, we still reached almost the same level of candle. And it just, obviously scaled to about there. Broke over a key level on that volume. The sell volume was lighter than the previous buy volume, and I just felt good about the move based on all those different things, and it did end up working out. Now, had I maybe gotten a better ad on the dip, yeah, I don't know. The free play, it just ended up not working, which is fine. Sometimes there's not a real better way to have executed it. It just, was the margin for error was just a little too tight with the range of the candles for the free play to work, and that's okay. That's okay. I was now green on the day though, so I had made, in the couple of wins I had, I was now up on my entire. I was now up on my day after those two losses. I thought I took TLRY one more time. Let me see. Yeah, 939. So right here in this range, I said I like TLRY at 1634. Might re-enter. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Uh, 944. Let's see where that was. Oh, right here, right here. Okay, so I said I added on that dip. So I ended up abandoning the zone when I saw this price action. I said I'm adding on this dip, so it was right here at 944. I said my stop is at 16.2. And then I added on this dip, and it popped up here, and I said I ended up selling out in full for another 30-cent move on the high of day. So that would have been this area. So that's what I thought, right? When I was talking about the free play. So the free play would have got me that for free. Once I was stopped out of the free play, I quickly identified that, like, all right, it could still work. I just had such a tight margin that the free play didn't. So that's why I was like, you know what? I think I can go a little higher than my zone. I added on the quick dip. When I saw these dips getting eaten up, I was like, okay, let's hop in on that. Because short term, I could turn that into a good move. Now my stop was probably tighter or probably looser than it needed to be, actually. I mean, we could have realistically had a 1632 to, below this low right here tells me that, like, there's continued action downside or possible consolidation or whatever. I was looking for a quick, I'm in on a dip, and I expected to spring. So there was no reason for my stop to be this low. So fortunately, it wasn't an issue in this move, but, had I taken that full loss right there, what is that, almost 20-cent loss, I could have been back to red on the day. So little quick scalp right there, kind of adjusting to the market sentiment of having to be quicker in and out and take those short moves. Yeah, pretty painful downside because I was just a little too greedy. Okay, my next move was on IHT, which was, another great example of the beautiful market that is the pop and drops. So IHT at, what time was it at? It must have been right here. I bet it was. Yep, it was right here. That's funny. So at 10:40, I said, well, first let me let's see. IHT 515 to 495. And that was at 10:25. 515 495. I said IHT 515 to 495. Here we can even bring up the Discord here. I think IHT, yep, I think IHT 515 to 495 at some point. That was at 1025. So that would have been right here in this move, right up here after this big green candle. Then I said IHT is going to drop to 5 soon, fill my zone, and then rally. And the very next candle said, I had descending bids, so I got filled in full. Thankfully, my stop was actually at like 4.7 or 4.6. Can't remember. You know what? I think it was that I was on mobile and I couldn't type in my stop fast enough, so that by the time I typed it in of 4.8 or 4, maybe it was 4.7. That sounds more realistic at a 15-cent stop. Regardless, I didn't get stopped out. And then it immediately came back up, popped up to 5.2, and I sold. So I ended up making a decent little 15, 20 cent move off of this nasty knife catch. I have been working on a knife catching system a little bit that once I've ironed out a little bit more, if this market does continue the way that it does, maybe I'll do a video on that as well. But I still haven't found a great way to mitigate risk that makes it like an easy system to follow. It's still like very fast paced and whatnot. So I'd like to make it a little bit more easy to understand and easy to adapt if I'm going to, offer it up to other people to try to emulate, because I don't want anybody going out there and catching knives on my behalf and not doing it well, because shoot, it hurts. Okay, so OCGN. Yeah, I was about to say it did not look like that today. OCGN here was my final trade on the day. I know exactly where it was because I was staring at it for a long time. I was at work. Same thing with that last play with the knife catch. I was at work as well, so I was a little clinched, I guess you could say. So I saw this action on the 5, right? This is very important. I'm in my zone. I said 923 down to 907 if it gives it to me. 923 down to 907. And it's important to know when I said this. I said this at 12:12, so it would have been right here. During this candle, the next one opens at 12:14. So in the middle of this candle right here, I identified a zone down here. Now what's important about that is because by knowing that I did it over here as opposed to over here, it makes more sense when I explain that I had a profit target of here of 9.5. Again, remember, seeing a move come up like this doesn't tell me that it's going to moon. It just tells me that it might have some bounces for 10, 20, 30 cents or whatever. My risk was 8.9. I actually only got filled a little bit. So what I ended up doing, I took this zone 3 separate times. Real quickly, I was on my phone, so it was hard for me to... I said at 12:12, I called the zone out, and then my next message was at 1:51 that said, took this 3 times. So that tells you how long I was in this last trade. Anyways, I came down here. It filled me on my descending bids. It came up to right up to the 20. And while I was looking at it, I was like, well, you know what? Let's just sell right there because I think the move comes back down to fill my zone still. So let's just take this quick little profit we got on the 2 bids we got filled in. So I did. And then when it came down here, I got filled on I had 5 bids in this zone. I got filled on 3 of 5 here. Then it broke through. I saw it reject 9.5, so I got out on the next pullback. I ended up selling like at 9.42 or 9.43. So another, that was about 20 cents or so here. And then that was about 30 cents here. It came back down and filled me 2 of 4 bids this time. And then it came back down again. And I didn't sell this time. Instead, what I did was I was like, you know what? don't add, don't do anything. We've already made our money off of it. We're only in 2 of 4 bids, half a position. So if it does go to stop me out, we still are up on the day because we took those 2 really quick ones. And this, the opportunity cost of finding out what's next wasn't very high, as long as I didn't continue to add higher than I would have liked to. Now, if it did come down to here, sure, I would have continued to add because that was my initial plan, right? But seeing this action, basically a higher, lower high, potentially, I was keeping to make sure that these were going to be higher lows. So I didn't add any more than I was already in. I think my average cost was actually right at 9.2. Right at 9.2. And then I rode this action out. I watched it come up here. I said, no, I think it has high day potential. So I held. It came all the way back down here. At this point, I had raised my stop loss to break even because I was like, dude, if it comes from here all the way back down here, then I'm not interested in adding or anything. I just went out. So I'm sitting at work for almost a little over an hour watching this move formulate. And then as soon as it broke 9.8, I took profit at 9.8 exactly. That is exactly where my sell was. I took it, and that's what I got. So I was very, very happy with that. And that ended up being the last trade on the day. That one actually netted me the most, even though it was one of the smaller sizes, just because it was like a 60-cent move. But man, I tell you what, it was not worth the amount of time that I was sitting there staring at it while I was also trying to do my job. So anyways, that's the last trade I took. I ended up calling a zone on VEL later in the day. It didn't even get close to being filled. So no big reason to talk about it. Those are my trades on the day. We ended the week a little choppy, but better for sure. So I was definitely relieved that with that rust. That brings me back to my point about why I'm just gonna stop trading pre-market for a while until I start seeing more active pre-market follow through, 100% runners, stuff like that. And the reason for that is because I took, let's say it was $250, $300 in losses, something like that. I don't know, $200. Let's call it $200. I have no idea what it is. I can't remember. But it took me to, a winning trade and a half to just get back to zero. And then these trades I took for the rest of the day pushed me forward. Had I just not traded in the morning and just traded the way that I did afterwards, obviously it's easy in hindsight to say that. But, looking at the metrics, like I explained earlier, I have the data that shows me that, pre-market's it's just really not worth the amount of risk I'm taking on. So going forward, I'll not trade pre-market. Maybe I'll wake up and at least watch it. I don't know if I have the self-control to watch it and not maybe take a play if it does my setups, but I'm gonna go ahead and try not to do that for a while. Today would have been an amazing day had I not had to come back from that initially. But we did. I'm very happy that we did. We ended the day green. We only had one red day this week, which is awesome. It was a big one, but we ended the week green, which is always the goal. It's important not to just look at every day because days are an anomaly sometimes. At the end of the year, as long as on, was that Tuesday? I had that bad red day, right? On Tuesday, I had a bad red day. And I could have stopped that red day at 200, down 200, but I was so competitive and I was like, I can turn this around even though I was not feeling well. I had gotten my vaccine shot the day before. I thought about it today as I was in my car driving and I was like, at the end of the year, I look back on that red day and I don't even remember it, right? But at the end of the year, I will remember it now because I made it so much worse, right? But in that moment, Tuesday, when I was looking at negative 200 and I thought I could stop, I was like, no, I'm better than this. I know I can do better than this. But it's so important not to judge and base your performance, your ability, your, talent. It's very important not to compare yourself to such small sample sizes, right? Because in that moment, had I said, okay, let's just call it for today, at the end of the month, we'll see how impactful this day was, it would have meant nothing, dude. A day where I gave back $200 would have meant nothing in the grand scheme of the month. It would have meant nothing in the grand scheme of this week. But instead, it ended up being a pretty memorably bad day because I continued to agitate it, continued to make it worse. And I didn't call my day soon enough. So it is so okay to have red days, guys. Like, if you're having a red day and you're like, man, nothing is going right for me today, then leave. I know it's so. I love to trade, right? Like, I would trade on weekends if you let me. I would trade forever. I love doing it. But part of loving doing it is a bad thing in some instances, because I will say to myself, like, well, what else am I going to do all day? I want to trade. So maybe at that point I switch over to, my mom's Weeble, or, a paper account or something like that. That way I'm still able to take part, but, I'm not adhering the risk to my account when I've already told myself that, like, I should probably be done for the day. So, sorry for that last little ramble right there, that little rant. It's just kind of thinking out loud, which does help me moving forward. If I want to go back and listen to this video to help, reiterate that, that's nice for me as well. So I appreciate you guys always taking the time to listen, those of you who do. I hope that, if it helps even just one person, then it's definitely worth the time it takes for me to do these. So again, questions always welcome. DM's always open. You know where to find me. Have a good one, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.